Chairman for life, the Chinese Communist Party holds high-level talks expected to pave the way for Xi Jinping's history-making third term. A new threat to Taiwan, the Chinese fighter jet with cyber superpowers. Astro disaster. An investigation is launched into the Travis Scott concert crush that left 8 dead. And coral crisis. Why the easing of COVID restrictions is bad news for Mother Nature on Taiwan's island of Xiaoliuqiu. A warm welcome to TaiwanPlus News. I'm Yin Khvat. Senior Chinese Communist Party officials will hold high-level meetings this week in Beijing. They are widely expected to pave the way for Xi Jinping to secure a third term as China's president. At the meetings, or plenum, Chinese state media said a major historical resolution will be passed. That has happened only twice before, in 1945 and 1981. Both times, the resolutions were designed to consolidate the power of the Communist Party's leader. The meetings come as the Chinese government last week said that supporters of Taiwan's independence would be held criminally liable for life. The Chinese Communist Party's historical resolution is also expected to lay the foundations for the future policy direction of the party. A central message in many of Xi's major speeches has been what he calls the Chinese dream of national rejuvenation. To find out what this is and its implications for Taiwan, I spoke with Professor Wu Jieming, a research fellow at Academia Sinica's Institute of Sociology.
Chinese dream, as proposed by Xi Jinping, is a term to get, China great again. And I think it's quite an empty concept because it doesn't really say what he wants China to be in terms of what substance. So, but it's a way to express an innermost willingness of the Chinese elite that China should be great again in the world stage. And we know that China was attacked by the Western empires, some 150 years ago, 200 years ago. So since then, there's a kind of ethos for the Chinese elite that China should be strong and wealthy again. So that's what I know about that. And how much can this concept reflect the will of the people? We really don't know because China is not a free country. There's no freedom of expression, so we don't know the true preference of the people because this system has no political representation. So what can we get the information about the country and from the propaganda or slogans themselves? Is that we analyze the words of the ruling elite. So we really don't know what people think. But if we, infer from some theories such as populism, so we can think that maybe some Chinese people are happy about Xi's political program. But still, my answer is that we don't know.
Territorial integrity that Xi has spoken about in terms of reclaiming Taiwan. How does that fit inside the Chinese dream?
If you claim a big dream to the world and to say that I want to lead China into this greatness, so if Xi take Taiwan as a part of China, and I think Taiwan can be a jewel on his crown. So that would be a very big achievement for him if by whatever means he can take Taiwan.
And you believe that he will try to do that?
I believe he is trying to do that, but he is also, I think, politically rational, and he's quite calculative in doing so. So if he has no 100% confidence that the Chinese army can occupy Taiwan within a very short period, then I don't think he would risk this action.
A Pentagon report on China's military might released last week revealed that the People's Liberation Army could have as many as 1,000 nuclear warheads by 2030. But raw firepower isn't the only area where China is seeking to get ahead. James Chater explains.
Another night, another flurry of Chinese military aircraft incursions. A total of 20 PLA aircraft entered Taiwan's Air Defense Identification Zone this weekend. The 16 aircraft on Saturday was the highest daily count so far this month. The most recent incursions come after the US Defense Department last week published their annual report on China's military capabilities. It revealed that China is seeking to position itself as a leader in so-called intelligent warfare, meaning the incorporation of cutting-edge technologies like AI into its military capacity. That was confirmed by Chinese state media, which this weekend reported that the J-16D electronic warfare fighter jet had begun combat training and could be ready for action soon. Chinese experts say that the J-16D is fitted with pods which can conduct electronic surveillance and disrupt enemy communications.
它跟通常的歼16最大的区别就是挂的东西特别多。歼16D、歼20这两个飞机的共同点就是都是针对敌人的雷达探测。
Scholars also say that China is developing its own version of the Suitor software, a military program that attacks enemy computer networks. Taiwan's Ministry of National Defense set up its own cybersecurity center in 2017. In July this year, a senior official from the department confirmed Taiwan is subject to between 20 to 40 million cyber attacks every month. The Pentagon report also revealed that China had allocated $85 million to fund AI research in 2020.
或称为电歼16的这个战术的电战机，它跟美国的 ES-8咆哮者是类似的功能。所以从作战层面到战术层面，都可以看得出中共在就是跟随美国这种网电作战的一个发展。
Nearly 20% of PLA incursions this year have been conducted by aircraft with cyber warfare capabilities, all of which underscores that in any future conflict, a critical front line will be cyberspace. James Rayner and James Chater for TaiwanPlus.
North Korea held an artillery fire competition this weekend as part of efforts to boost the country's defense capabilities, according to state media. The exercises were overseen by Pak Jong-chon, Secretary of the Central Committee of the ruling Workers' Party of Korea. He's regarded as a rising star in the country's military and a major player in its missile program. Analysts say Pyongyang is hoping to normalize such defense activities as part of a bid to win international acceptance of its nuclear and ballistic missile arsenals. Here in Taiwan, the latest batch of vaccine doses to arrive has caused a stir after it was revealed that all 594,000 doses will expire at the end of the month. The batch of AstraZeneca vaccines touched down over the weekend, but after inspection, the doses are only likely to be released for distribution starting on November 15th. It leaves only 2 weeks to administer the shots. The Central Epidemic Command Center says the new arrivals will be prioritized for those needing a second dose.
国际间 COVID-19 的疫苗供货仍不稳定，那交货的时程也很难以确定，所以我们受限于国内还有很多还未能在时限内完整的接种第二剂的疫苗。这一次首先提供间隔8周以上接种的民众来接种。
The United States is reopening its borders to fully vaccinated foreign visitors from Monday. Passengers are preparing again to fly to the US and provide a significant boost to the world's travel sector. Washington has banned visitors from countries including Britain, China, India and the European Union since early 2020. The move separated families, halted tourism and strained diplomatic ties. Former US Ambassador to the United Nations Bill Richardson has come under fire over his recent trip to Myanmar. Richardson said he met with Myanmar's military leader Min Aung Hlaing to discuss humanitarian efforts and delivering COVID vaccines. But human rights advocates have accused Richardson of legitimizing the junta. The military seized power in February and jailed elected leaders, including the Prime Minister, Aung San Suu Kyi. Armed resistance to the military is increasing after crackdowns on peaceful protests. The chief financial officer of a military-linked telecommunications firm was assassinated near his home in the country's economic capital last week, according to local media. Our reporter Rick Glauert spoke to Ang Kong Myat, a postgraduate student at Hong Kong University researching Myanmar. He asked him what the military's crackdown will mean for the country.
It almost always means that there will be a huge humanitarian situation inside the country. Last time they conducted so-called clearance operations. There is over 800,000 people fleeing to the neighboring country, Bangladesh. So this time it'll be on such a huge, larger scale. So I cannot really predict the extent and the amount of human suffering it will cause. And also, of course, it will also destabilize the region. Myanmar shares borders with China, Thailand, India, and Bangladesh. So there's a lot of concerns for these neighboring countries as well, because if the military continues to target the civilian populations, it'll be such a huge refugee crisis in the region.
And could you tell us the significance of the assassination of Tain Aung? Are we going to see more actions like this from people who oppose the junta?
He is a friend of the highest generals, so it is not surprising that the opposition targeted him. He is obviously also linked to the military's own businesses. So I believe this is also the highest profile assassination. The assassination has been going on since September, after the opposition realized that they could not really engage in street protests, which has increasingly become hostile from the military. So I believe this is going to be more common in the future as the oppositions become more and more frustrated at the military, and the military isn't going to back down very soon. So these will be more of a common occurrence in the major cities, at least.
Taiwan may be barred from official participation in COP26, but that doesn't mean it's not making its presence felt. Taiwan's presidential office lit up in honour of Taiwan Day, a sideline event held on Sunday in Glasgow to give the nation a voice outside the official meetings taking place. As countries around the world make their pledges in the fight against climate change, President Tsai promised Taiwan would do its part to reach net zero carbon emissions.
Taiwan is willing and capable to work side by side with our international partners to achieve our collective goal of net zero emissions by 2050. Taiwan regards attaining net zero and mitigating crisis as our collective and generational responsibility. And for this very reason, Taiwan should be included as part of the solutions to address the global climate.
As mentioned, Taiwan can only attend the COP26 conference on the sidelines, but Democratic Progressive Party legislator Hong Son-han tells our reporter Bing Wang that the nation is a part of the global community and will not be silent on climate issues.
我相信这次其实大家也会针对一些如何做到的策略的路径跟技术上面的协商进行更明确的讨论以及确立共识。那我认为这样子国际上面的共识，其实对于台湾下一步该怎么做，我觉得都是有非常非常大的帮助的。台湾其实是一个跟国际连接很深的一个国家，但我认为我们必须回过头面对一个真实的问题是，台湾要不要继续再用这种低 电价、低水价、低油价的这种经济发展模式。因为在这种经济发展模式之下，我们的人均排放，我们很可能还是没有办法很大程度的降低，甚至无法这个产生一些新的低碳的商业的这个技术的投资或商业的模式。不希望只是大家最后在这个状况下只做一些皮毛的工作而已，而是必须面对根本的体制的问题。
So globally, over 5,000 companies have signed on to the net zero carbon emissions pledge. Do you think Taiwanese companies will also join that pledge, and how will we hold them accountable?
尤其是这些有在做国际布局的企业来说，面对减碳的问题，甚至面对 net zero 的这个 agenda， 其实几乎是无法逃避的状况。政府上面应该要扮演一些角色。
What is the DPP's agenda on climate change, and what bills have you put out so far to help save the environment?
我的办公室其实在去年的12月的时候，其实是在立法院率先提出这个温室气体温管法，要把它修成气候变迁法。后来有陆陆续续有不同党派的委员陆陆续续的跟进。那我认为接下来明年的下一个会期可能会是我们来把温管法大修成气候变迁法一个非常非常关键的一个时间点，所以才不会让这个我们的企业可能要缴出去的碳关税，等于是缴到别人的手上，那倒不如我们自己用碳费或者是碳税的方式收下来，我们收下来以后还可以来做我们社会上面的协助或企业上面的协助的运用，这是比较好的。
Coming up after the break, a music festival in Houston that spiraled into chaos. Stay with us. Welcome back to TaiwanPlus News. US rapper Travis Scott has expressed his devastation over the death of 8 people at his Astroworld Music Festival in Houston. More than a dozen other concert-goers were injured in the tragedy, and a criminal investigation has been launched to find out what happened. Bing Wang reports.
It was supposed to be the headline moment, the top of a day of music and partying. Instead, it turned into a nightmare. Eyewitnesses said signs of overcrowding were already present in the sold-out crowd before Travis Scott went on stage. But it wasn't until the rapper made his entrance at around 9 p.m. when things turned deadly. Desperate pleas from the crowd of tens of thousands of fans went unheard as the set continued. It was the ambulance Scott saw that made him pause the concert. The crowd was so tightly packed that concertgoers were pushed towards the stage. Some reported that they couldn't even breathe.
You know, once the show starts, everybody pushes up or mosh pits open up, you know, all the pushing, it gets very heated, very hot. You can't breathe, you know, and if you have no water and you're dehydrated, you're very quick to pass out.
Critically acclaimed rapper Travis Scott has held the annual Astroworld Festival in his hometown of Houston for the past 4 years. No trouble with overcrowding was reported at previous events. But shortly after Scott hit the stage, police received reports of medical emergencies in the crowd.
It seemed like it happened with just over the course of just a few minutes. Suddenly we had several people down on the ground experience some type of cardiac arrest or some type of medical episode. And so we immediately started doing CPR and moving people right then.
Scott offered an apology and promised to work with the Houston community to determine how the tragedy happened.
I'm honestly just devastated, and I could never imagine anything like this just happening. And I'm gonna do everything I can to keep you guys updated and just keep you guys informed on what's going on. Love you all.
But comments published on the artist's Twitter have left many questioning his sincerity. In a now deleted tweet, Scott said that even though the concert was at max capacity, we're still letting the wild ones in. Investigations are now underway to determine what happened at the event. Police said that they would review footage and interview eyewitnesses, and a lawsuit has been filed for failing to properly plan and conduct the concert in a safe manner. But for now, Houston remains in mourning for the people who lost their lives as the community tries to process what was supposed to be a celebration went badly wrong. Klein Wong and Bing Wong for TaiwanPlus.
Iraq's Prime Minister has described the assassination attempt against him using an armed drone as cowardly. Video released by the office of Mustafa al-Kadhimi showed damage to parts of his Baghdad residence and armoured SUV, and also an unexploded missile. The Prime Minister was slightly injured in the explosion, along with 7 of his guards. No one has claimed responsibility for the attack. Voters in one of Taiwan's few remaining allies, Nicaragua, went to the polls on Sunday to elect the country's next president in an election that has been widely criticized by the US and other countries as a farce. Former freedom fighter President Daniel Ortega is expected to win a 4th straight term, making him the America's longest-serving leader alongside his wife, Vice President Rosario Murillo. But the run-up to the election has seen police imprison nearly 40 leading opposition figures, including 7 presidential candidates, as well as prominent business leaders and journalists. India's capital, New Delhi, picked up an unwelcome record over the weekend, recording the world's worst air quality for 2021. Numerous monuments in the city were barely visible behind a thick blanket of smog that left many people sheltering indoors. Readings of particulate matter topped out at 456 on a scale of 500, with the current peak attributed to fireworks during the Hindu festival of Diwali, as well as farmers burning their rice paddy fields after harvest. The recent easing of COVID restrictions in Taiwan has sparked a late summer tourism surge. But while this was good for the economy, the returning tourist has disrupted the recovery of the country's marine ecology. Sandy Chi has the story.
An island getaway feels like the perfect remedy for months of COVID-induced boredom. And it's great for the local economy, but not for Mother Nature. Xiaoliuqiu off Taiwan's southwest coast has received tens of thousands of travelers during long holiday weekends after the epidemic situation improved. Tourism brings in money, but a survey has shown that it also has a severe impact on the ecosystem. Heavy rains in July, which triggered widespread flooding, also compounded the ecological damage. Marine life was seriously affected, with populations of sea urchins and sea cucumbers declining by 80%. Coral reef coverage dropped to under 10% in recreational areas, compared with 50% in 2014. The Pingdong County government has made plans to diversify tourist routes and night band tours during the reproductive seasons for corals. Coral reefs in Taiwan are renowned in the region. It was recently showcased in Hong Kong by giving scuba diving enthusiasts an experience of Taiwan's dive sites at the bottom of a swimming pool.
I think it's very exciting. I haven't dived for like 2 years since I can't travel. I think it gives me such a good experience to explore the Taiwan underwater world. So maybe like if I have a chance in the future, Taiwan maybe is a good place for me to dive.
Photos of marine life and underwater landmarks have been placed in the 25-meter outdoor pool. The underwater exhibition features popular dive sites including Xiaoliuqiu, Kenting and Green Island. But it also sent a stark message that if the decline of Taiwan's ecosystem continues, this may be the only way to enjoy what was once Taiwan's vibrant marine life. Ricky and Sandy Chi for TaiwanPlus.
It wasn't the usual glamorous affair when the top envoys to Taiwan from around the world got together recently. Instead, Vice President Lai Ching-te introduced the assembled dignitaries to a slice of local culture, shrimping. Those taking part included the heads of the American Institute in Taiwan, the Japan-Taiwan Exchange Association, and the Australian, UK and India representative offices. The winner of the inaugural Golden Pole Award for International Diplomacy went to India's representative Gaurangala Das, who caught 15 shrimps. In keeping with local protocol, the envoys went on to grill and enjoy the shrimps on site. Thanks for watching TaiwanPlus News. I'm Yin Khvat. We'll leave you with some images of the Fjord Oslo Light Festival, with this year's theme focusing on how human activities impact the environment. Check out TaiwanPlus News app, YouTube and website for this show and more. Stay safe and see you next time.